episode of Halos in the Infield podcast with your host, Todd Fox, and the other host.
Fernando, ¿qué tal, everybody?
Hell yeah, we're back he's back from his little mini vacation, work vacation, whatever you want to call it. And he's back. We're all back here, and we're getting back into the routine. So we're going to talk today about the Boston Red Sox series and what happened in the 3-game set at home versus the number one team in the AL. And then we're also going to look ahead to the upcoming matchup with the Seattle Mariners. But before we do that, you want to tell them a little bit about our merch.
Buy the merch. The merch is the softest in the game. It is great. Trust me, we've all bought it. I have Todd's right here waiting to give it to him. Chase bought his blow pen shirt. I know some of you guys have already gotten your merch, so thank you guys in advance for that. All the money goes straight back into the show. We promise. It goes right back to making this show better for you guys. So go ahead and buy the merchandise. Redbubble / Halos in the Infield, or you can just go on Redbubble and type in Halos in the Infield generically, and it'll come up. We have the blow pen shirt, a Buttercup shirt. We have the new Jared Walsh Grand Slam t-shirts, and we have another thing in the works. It's supposed to be a Shohei Ohtani commemorative All-Star Game shirt, Dash Home Run Derby shirt. So be on the lookout for that. Hopefully our boy Randy has that up soon. We've been in contact about it. So exciting merch on the way.
Exactly, and also, like you said, those profits come in here to get us trucker hats for our trucker hat trivia during the week on the post-game show on Instagram, and then also for the podcast and other shows that we do on the Halos in the Infield network. We're doing the bingo jersey thing, so where you can win a free jersey of your choice, 4 different players to choose from, 3 different styles. All you got to do is play a free game that we do, bingo, and we're going to release. We're going to start doing the bingo balls on this podcast this weekend. So that's going to be the first show that we do that. So with all the business out of the way, let's get into what happened with the Angels, because suddenly, I'm a little ahead of myself, but we're back in the wild card race all of a sudden. And we were teetering on, should we be sellers or buyers? We were like Humpty Dumpty, about ready to fall off the damn wall. But now it's looking a little bit better, right?
I think I've sent you a message like 3 or 4 times now after different games saying this is where it happens. We get the hope. The hope is like, oh my gosh, we're going to do this. We're going to make the playoffs.
Yep.
And then, that's where the buttercupping comes.
Yes.
But no, as of right now, man, the Angels are looking good. Who would have thought that without their 4 highest paid players, they'd be playing this well? I mean, we're talking about the bullpen doing decent enough to win. We're talking about the offense clicking, even though their 3 best hitters aren't in the lineup. Well, okay, I mean, Shohei Ohtani's in the lineup, but Trout, Upton, Rendon are 3 guys that people really expected to contribute, and those guys aren't in the lineup.
Yeah, and basically your number 1 starter from day 1 this season is in the bullpen. So you got, and then another guy you spent money on, Quintana, he's in the bullpen. So this team, it looks a lot different from the April Angels that got started. And, right now, we'll get into some more of the positives moving forward. But Monday didn't start that great. They played Boston here in Anaheim Stadium, game 1 of the 3-game series. Again, Boston was coming in, with the best record in the AL. This game got off, was Suarez's first start of the season. He earned this spot, getting it from Quintana and pushing Quintana to the bullpens subsequently. And the Angel, he didn't pitch good. Let's just say it. He didn't come out there good. Wasn't as aggressive. Suarez messed around a lot, nibbled a lot, and didn't get tattooed. But he left the game with a lot of pitches. He was only supposed to throw 85, and he was already around 70 when they took him out, and that was like in the 3rd inning, I believe. What were your thoughts on Suarez?
Yeah, it's really rough to process everything after just 1 start. I can't even just be like, well, he blew it. Time to move him back to the bullpen. But, that's not the Suarez that we've seen. Perhaps Suarez might be better off in a long relief situation or in a spot start situation, and maybe he isn't ever going to be a rotation arm. But you know what? What all the Angels can do right now is ride the hot hand. And as of right now, he's still the hot hand compared to Jose Quintana and Dylan Bundy. I would much rather give a young guy a shot than, two guys who should have already had to figure it out by now because they've been around the league for, 8 to 10 years, respectfully.
I agree. It's a good take. And speaking of Bundy, he came in this game and surrendered a couple runs. Not quite his fault, but he still did. But he looked better, and he has looked better in relief. But that put the Angels down 5-1, And in this game, we've seen it over and over. There's a couple opportunities in this game where the Angels were robbed, either by base running blunders, by guys not running fast enough, or the fact that you get the irrefutable evidence. Like this is an NFL replay rule is supposed to be the same as baseball. If the call is made on the field or in play, the guy's safe. You got to see irrefutable evidence to reverse it. And on this play where I think it was Rojas that got thrown at home, you really didn't have irrefutable evidence. It was bang, bang. And usually when that happens, it's like, okay, we'll go with a call in the field. They reversed that crap again. And Angels fans have seen this like 3 or 4 other times that have cost the Angels. And I believe in this game, there was several times that the Angels were, either got screwed over by calls or great plays by Boston, like the Renifo home run being robbed. But what are your thoughts on that play at the plate?
Man, why is it always us? Every single time, right, guys? It's like every Angels fan, as soon as that call's made, it's like, well, here we go again.
Yep.
It always seemingly just happens to us.
Mm-hmm.
So, getting a little ahead of ourselves, going to today's game, which is Wednesday's game, we finally got some calls our way. We'll talk more about that when we get there. But, it seems like we always just get the bad calls. We always get screwed. And like you said, man, you got to have irrefutable evidence. Why have that rule if you're not going to stick to it?
Exactly. And like you said, it just seems to come back on us over and over. If it's not the crazy strike zone that our pitchers, I feel you can overcome the umpires sometimes by just changing or adapting as the game goes on. If a pitcher comes out and says, man, I threw too many pitches today because he's not calling the outside, relay that to the other pitchers will come in and be like, okay, well, then we got to go inside. We got to try to jam guys. We got to try to work the middle a little bit better, throw our best stuff. Stuff like that. The Angels don't seem to adapt as much to that. And then these calls right here are just brutal because, the Angels at times have trouble scoring runs sometimes. And, a run here, run there can cost you. And in this game, it did because the Angels actually fought back. Rojas would make up with it with a solo shot, 5-4. And then the Angels do another rally in the 9th inning. You have 2 men on. The big A is rocking. Ohtani comes up, and I want you to explain the scenario that happens from the at-bat to the end of the game.
Oh, all right. So this is I feel like this is the moment where Angels fans truly just wanted to go after the nearest chowder head and punch him in the face, punch him in the yappa, give him a wicked sock to the face.
I love that.
That's my attempt at a Boston accent. Horrible, but Adam Ottavino was up on the hill, and he'd already gotten himself in trouble at this point. Yep. I think there was a runner on first and second. There was 2 outs, and Shohei Ohtani, who's, as of right now, the guy you want batting right now. Either that or David Fletcher, right? Out of everyone who you have on your roster, it's either one of those 2 guys that you want to hit in that situation. So Ohtani comes up and just hits, and I don't want to say – actually, you know what? It was a pretty good shot, right? I think it had some velo to it.
Yeah, it did. It was close to 100.
Yeah, he hit a ball pretty hard, straight into the shift. The second baseman was in shallow right field.
Yeah.
And they just perfectly shifted him. But, if we're talking like mere inches, this is a tie game.
Oh, yeah.
Adam Ottavino blows the save. That's literally inches. But that's what they say. Baseball's a game of inches, and it wasn't any more obvious that that's the case than on Monday night's game. And I think that's why Angels fans are so angry at the events that unfolded once Adam Ottavino got the final out to secure the save for the Red Sox. Now, for those of you guys who are living under a rock and don't know what I'm talking about, As soon as Otani grounded out, Adam Ottavino looked straight at Shohei Otani and said, "Happy birthday, bitch."
Yep.
Shohei Otani was celebrating his 27th birthday. Now, let me start off by saying that Angels fans know, and you know what, baseball fans in general know, Shohei Otani, nicest guy in baseball.
Yep.
The guy's a giant teddy bear.
Yep.
Everybody loves the guy. Literally, I can't think of anybody who isn't even an Angels fan who hates Shohei Otani. He's just that guy. Everybody likes him. Everybody cheers for him because it's, when you see greatness, you appreciate greatness.
Yeah.
I fucking hate the Dodgers, but I appreciate Clayton Kershaw because he's great.
Mm-hmm.
There's guys who I look at who are rivals, who I appreciate and I tip my cap to because you know what? Those guys are gamers. That's what Shohei Otani is. He is an elite talent in this game. So the fact that Adam Ottavino, a no-name pitcher who people don't know of, I'm not going to say he's horrible. He's an above-average bullpen arm. Great. Yeah. But you mean to tell me that a guy Adam Ottavino has the balls and the ability to look at a guy like Shohei Otani in that situation and showboat to the fact that we're going to say happy birthday, bitch? That doesn't fly with me at all.
Yeah, I wonder if that was a catalyst for the way the Angels played the next 2 days, but I just know that was probably one of the most pretty demeaning things you could say to a player like Shohei, because like you said, he's a teddy bear, nicest guy in the field. Everyone has a universal respect for him. And, for the fact that, like you saw, I think it was yesterday, broken bat, and he runs over and hands it to the batter himself, pats him on the side. When he gets to a base, he makes a slide, he jokes with players. I mean, the guy, he has no flaws right now. And it's just a sad thing that a guy would yell that kind of, thing towards Otani, and he's done nothing. He never showed him up in the box. I can see if he showed him up, pointed a bat, did even today with bat flip rules, maybe he bat flipped or something, but he doesn't even do that. So why the hell are you going to say, happy birthday, bitch, when you nearly blew the save? Like on the replay, he swings like a half inch lower. That ball's in the freaking pavilion. He swung over it a little bit and hit a line drive, and that almost got by the second baseman. So even like I would maybe kind of be like, okay, I don't like the comment, but I could see the emotion if he struck him out in that. But he didn't strike him out. The second baseman, like you said, made a great play. And so it's like, where did this come from? And then you have a fan, good for him, come before pregame, I think it was today or yesterday, and said, hey, man, why did you say that towards Otani? And he said, honestly, man, I blacked out. I got caught in the moment. No, you didn't. You knew exactly what you were saying. And that's
take some accountability.
Exactly. Don't use the blackout stuff. That is so that is so fake. So fake.
Yeah, what are you, an 18-year-old who just got drunk for the first time in his life? Oh, sorry, bro, I blacked out after having like 3 Bud Lights after 3 Bud Lights from a game of beer pong.
And see, imagine if this is a position player who yelled that to Otani.
Oh,
I don't even think, bro. I don't even think this is, and I want your opinion on this too, but the next day Otani pitching, even if he says that and Otani hears it, I don't think Otani goes after him at all. He's not that type of dude. Like maybe a reliever.
Yeah. No, Otani doesn't. But, a guy who's barely on the roster, like an Aaron Slegers, that's the kind of guy who you would be like, all right, man, your time to shine. You're going to throw it out of this game, and you're going to go down swinging.
Yeah, I might not be on the roster that much, but this is a way for me to make a name with the roster. You know what I mean? Let me peg that guy for talking on her, because I know it got back to the players. So maybe just maybe Otani in English said, hey, guys, I understand that's a bad word, but I don't want anything to come of this. Maybe he took the high road. And maybe
there's no way he didn't take the high road. This is Shohei Otani. Shohei Otani is not going to cost the team a win because he wants to drill somebody for being a jerk.
Yep.
And B, like some people say, the best way to retaliate is by winning. You know what? The Angels won the series. Adam Ottavino could say all he wants, like, hey, I called Shohei Otani a bitch. Well, guess what? You're the bitch now because your team lost. And, I'm not going to blame it on Adam Ottavino, but certainly can't tell me that he helped his team. You certainly can't tell me that he didn't ignite the Angels to want to win the series simply because of what he said.
Oh, definitely, definitely. So I think in the end it worked out. They were able to get the next game, which is what was it? It was yesterday with Otani on the hill. And thoughts on Otani's performance, because I got a few of my own, but I want to initially get what you with his performance.
Perfect. Yeah, what an absolute bounce back. I mean, Shohei Otani's proving what we know. It's just that he's a stud. And it's like, part of me hates bringing up Shohei Otani, because, he's just so good that we can sit here literally and talk about it for hours and hours and hours, and still people would listen to it because people are just fascinated by him. Yeah, exactly. And it'd be the Otani show. And you know what? If somebody out there wants to ever make it a whole podcast dedicated to Otani, let us know. I'd be the first one to subscribe because I love hearing about Otani. But it's also hard to not bring it up, man. But, he proved last game against the Yankees that he is a human.
Yeah.
His command was atrocious. I don't want to say the Yankees beat Otani, but I do want to say that Otani beat Otani.
Yeah. I think it was more the humidity and Otani being Otani. Maybe he got caught up in the moment. He's still human. I think that reminded us of that. But yeah,
because I thought he was a robot literally at this. Like prior to that, forget Albert Pujols being called the machine. There's no way he could throw 100 miles an hour.
I don't know who that is. What's a Pujols?
Yeah, never heard of a. Who is she? Never heard of a.
Yeah, but I know we're gonna disrespect some Angel fans with that, but hey, that's just our point of view. But look, in this game, I thought the biggest factor for Otani going to 7 innings was the fact that he had no walks. He's pitched great in starts earlier in the year too, where he would literally allow no runs or maybe 1 run, but he'd have like 6 walks and 6 strikeouts, and he just rack up pitches, being 3-ball 2 counts too much, not even getting hit hard. It's just he's throwing a lot of pitches, and I thought this was his best performance of the year. And the Red Sox lineup is no slouch, and he mowed him down for the most part. I was very impressed with his start and going up against Nathan Eovaldi, who, remember, in 2018 we wanted this guy. The Angels were Epler was showing his hand like, oh, we're going after Eovaldi, we're going after Eovaldi, we're going after Eovaldi. And
the famous thing that he did all the time.
Yeah, and we didn't get him. And at first Angel fans are like, all right, cool. 2019 he sucked. 2019 I think he was hurt, and then last year he sucked. And people are like, see, he's overrated. But then all of a sudden, now he looks like 2018 Eovaldi. So this matchup was going to be good, and it was. And what are your thoughts on the overall game? I mean, because he did it offensively and or he did it pitching and hitting in this game.
Yeah, man. Shohei Otani is, once again, just proving that he is the best player in baseball. And some Angels fans get very mad whenever I say that because they go, we have Mike Trout on our team. And I get it. We do have Mike Trout on our team sometimes. Just kidding. I had to take a dig because he's hurt. But, yeah, dude, Shohei Otani, I don't think there's an argument that he is the best player in baseball.
Yeah.
How can you argue that statement? Mm-hmm. The guy is batting, almost 280 going into tomorrow's game. He's leading the league in home runs. He's flirting with the Triple Crown.
Yep.
Oh, and not to mention that he also made the All-Star game as a pitcher. Oh, and as a hitter.
Yeah.
The home run derby. Then what are we talking about? We're talking about a video game, right? This isn't real. This isn't real life.
That does remind me of when I used to be like, you know what, let me put Todd on, create myself and put myself on the Angels. And, let me be fair to myself, and I'll go about what I think I would be in the majors. 99, 99, 99.
I got to be humble. You know what? For vision, we're going to go 97.
Yeah, 97. And you know what? I do make an error every now and then, so 96. So
yeah.
It does feel
you guys still like a 99 overall.
Yeah, exactly. It does just feel like a video game. That's a great point. But in this game too, with all that he was doing, I thought one play that was overshadowed, except for Angel fans, was Lagares' great catch. I mean, that turned the tide because had that gone for a home run, it's 4-3 Boston. Instead, it stays 3-2, and the Angels immediately add 2 runs onto it and put the game away.
Yeah, and then Raisel Iglesias came in for the save, correct?
Yeah, he did. And he's done something that he's done.
Yeah, man, Raisel Iglesias. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say he's done something I've seen him do a couple times this year where it's very Troy Percival-esque, where Percival will do this too, where he would just, it's a 3-run lead, and he'd be like, you know what, I'm gonna test this heater and see if this dude can hit it. And he'd give a hitter something to hit, and he gives up a home run. He's like, okay, shake it off and strike him out the next guy. And because you see what he does in 1-run games, he doesn't fool around. But it seems like in 2 or 3-run games with nobody on, 2 outs, he'll serve up a cookie just to see how far he can hit it.
Yeah, when you and I did the post game yesterday, I told you that Raisel Iglesias is an elite closer in baseball.
Yep.
Some people take him seriously, some people don't. But Raisel Iglesias is the real deal. I've been saying this at the beginning of this season, and I'm going to keep saying it. Raisel Iglesias is the kind of guy that you want to build the back end of your rotation with.
Absolutely.
So, as long as the Angels keep trending in the right direction, I certainly do not trade him. But if the Angels are in a situation where they need to start selling because things really go awry over the next 2 weeks after the break, you can get a pretty big haul for Raisel Iglesias. But personally, even if things go south, I say you have to re-sign him. This is the kind of guy you want in the back half of the rotation.
I agree with you 100%. That's a good take because, I mean, that guy, you see how fired up he gets the fans and he gets the team fired up. I mean, with his celebrations and everything, he's got 2 different deliveries for the same pitch. That's insane. That drop down sidearm throw is amazing. So, I mean, when he's on, he's freaking on. Thoughts real quick too, because he did come into this game today, which is Wednesday's game. But I know you've been critical as far as I have as well with the back end of that bullpen leading up to Iglesias. We like Watson. I think we're on the same page with Watson. But who would you get to replace Myers? Because sometimes Myers scares the living shit out of me when he comes in the 8th inning.
Yeah, I certainly wouldn't keep putting Myers in the 8th inning. I know a lot of Angels fans, especially on your post games, have been clamoring for a guy like Brad Hand.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe a trade for Brad Hand would be great, putting him 8th. And then you have either Myers or Watson to bounce off for 7th.
That'd be cool.
That's going to put you, or even Cishek in the 7th.
He's come around lately. Yeah.
But, we can say that about almost every guy in the bullpen. Like they start to come around, and just when you start to trust them again, and they decide to shit the bed. So, you know what I mean? It just really depends. But the only consistent has been Raisel Iglesias in a save situation, may I add. People keep saying like, well, he's not good in save situation. But that's literally Joe Maddon's only job is to know how to use your players in what situation. Joe, why do you keep putting him in there when you're up by 6 runs? I don't care if he needs work. Bring somebody else in. Well, I don't want to waste another one of my pitchers. Put in Jared Walsh. He was a 2-way player.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got like a career like 2-something ERA. If you don't want to waste any of your pitchers, hell, put him in. Why not? And if you need Raisel Iglesias to come in for the save because Jared Walsh decided to blow chunks on the field and give up 3 runs, I feel bad saying blow chunks on the field now, by the way, after Dylan Bundy literally blew chunks on the field.
That's a term now that has a different meaning all of a sudden.
Dude, if we would have hopped on it, we should have like made a merchandise shirt of like Dylan Bundy like throwing up, but instead of like the throw up, it was like a bunch of little L's on it.
Oh yeah.
That said Bundy's blow pen.
There you go. That's the epitome of a blow pen. Good God. I'm telling you, I mean, look, and speaking of that Walsh fella, we talked about it.
Walsh. Dodger fans are like, who's Walsh?
Yeah,
you guys can keep Walsh. We have the GOAT Pujols.
Yeah, we have Pujols in his prime, bro. We have Pujols in his prime. I don't know who that Walsh guy is. Jeez.
Yeah, well, let me tell you, if there's any Dodger fans who are tuning in, that Walsh guy is a real athlete. You guys should try getting one.
He actually runs. I heard he could get to the bases pretty fast. but yeah, they won that game, which gets into game 3, which is today, which was a day game that I was hyped up for it, but I wasn't too like I was thinking, man, the quicker we get Heaney out of there, the better. He pitched good for a bit, and then he ran into trouble in the 4th and 5th inning, and subsequently couldn't finish the 6th. But he did get the victory in this one, improving to 5-5. But in this game, that Walsh fella and this other guy named Fletcher, who we didn't mention from the night before, I forgot. No, it's my bad. Stassi and Fletcher, they went combined. I think it was a 7 for 8, something like that. In both missing the cycle with just missing one of the things for the cycle. Both of them, Stassi and Fletcher. And Fletcher's just his averages come all the way up. Without Upton in there, without Rendon, and Trout, obviously, the 3 main guys have been Ohtani, Fletcher, and Walsh. And today, Walsh had the game-winning home run, essentially. Ohtani hit that home run. Everyone's like, yeah, Ohtani, hell yeah, this guy, MVP. And then Walsh was like, damn, I need to get some of this shade. He hits a home run back-to-back, and then later in the game when Boston's creeping in with a run, boom, he tags another one. Thoughts on Walsh? Because this guy, like you brought up, was a 2 ERA guy, and they were looking at him more for his arm than his bat. What has changed since the two-way player decided, you know what, I'm all in as a hitter?
That's the thing. I don't know what it is. Sometimes the players always have like the it factor. They just never been able to put it together. And it just seemed like Jared Walsh finally was able to put it together. I mean, how many times as Angels fans have we, seen these guys get drafted because, they're the most athletic guy in the draft.
Yep.
And it just never panned out. We can do whole episodes about guys who ended up being busts. Oh. But then you got a guy like Jared Walsh, who was like a 30th rounder, something even, I think like 34th round.
39th.
Even. 39th?
Yes, 39th.
Yeah, there you go. He was near the bottom of the barrel. He was the guy that nobody gave a shit about. Who are we kidding? I mean, when you're at that stage, you're going to get a $1,000 signing bonus. You're quote unquote lucky to get the opportunity, and you should be happy to be there and get your $12K a year.
Yeah.
But Jared Walsh, with all the odds stacked against him, a guy that none of us Angels fans were looking at 3 or 4 years ago. Who are we kidding? No. Nobody knew who Jared Walsh was. And if you say you did, you're lying to yourself. Maybe you saw him playing a game at, in Inland Empire, or Mobile Bay when we were with the Bay Bears, or any of that.
Yeah.
But nobody thought Jared Walsh would end up being Jared Walsh, the All-Star. You can't tell me. Maybe he showed some flashes, but I distinctly remember in 2019 when he came up in September, he was getting booed. People were like, what is this guy doing? This guy is horrible. He was killing it in AAA, and then he came up here, and we just thought, here's another 4A-er.
Yeah.
He can join the rest of them. But no. Something clicked last year in 2020. Don't know what it was, but something did.
Absolutely right. I mean, look, your analysis is perfect because, again, I remember being one of those guys thinking he was another Casey Kochman,
Caleb Coward.
Caleb Coward, there you go. And on and on and on. And I was actually thinking, why are we testing this guy hitting? Shouldn't he just be pitching? We need a left-handed reliever. I heard he's got a good four-seamer or a slider. I thought he's going to be the guy out of the pen. And then, like you said, last September, he went on a tear. He was easily the reason why the Angels got back in the race in the first place. And I think he had 9 homers, 35 RBIs. So it's like, I thought, man, this guy's, pretty good. But then I was skeptical. I was like, we got to see if he could do it in the new season. So when they were like, oh, yeah, Ohtani's going to be the DH, Pujols is going to platoon with Walsh, I'm like, it makes sense. Because, just in case Walsh doesn't come through this year, you got old, reliable Pujols in there. And then as soon as the season started, you're like, got to get Pujols out of that lineup, man. Walsh is killing it. You can't be wasting at bats. And you're absolutely correct. This guy is something else. And he's one of those diamond in the roughs, 39th round, humble as shit, got a lot of chemistry with the players on the team. I love the guy. And even with Ohtani's numbers and the other guys starting to come around, Stassi, Fletcher, Upton when he was coming around and Trout coming back, this team would be nowhere without, Walsh as well. I think they present a very good tag team. And when Trout comes back, I'm very interested to see what that turns the dynamic duel into a trio. And then if Rendon can just stay healthy for more than a week and get his bat back before getting re-injured, imagine that's what I mean. I think that's what all Angel fans are thinking about. Is like, damn, the potential of this freaking lineup. And Rally Chris brought up that, and I want to get your thoughts on this. The fact that when the Angels score 4 or 5 runs, they're 40-14.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, and that's why I think the one thing I'll say is you can never really count the Angels out of a game.
Yep.
You never know when that offense is going to explode, and you never know, to what extent they're going to explode. So to see them almost come back Monday when they were seemingly out of it was at least encouraging. Like I say all the time, you can still lose a game, yet you can be the one who took away the momentum. And I think that's what the Angels did on Monday. Thanks to Adam Ottavino, that certainly helped. But, you had them on the ropes, but somehow, the Red Sox were able to pull the heel move. They were able to give the Angels the hit to the groin, that you see like in wrestling, and all of a sudden everyone boos the heel, but he got the win, and the heel just kind of like, embracing it. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what Adam Ottavino did. He turned into the heel, for baseball, not even for Angels fans. There was a lot of people who were like, what are you doing? Who are you, bro? Your mom doesn't even know who you are. So, to have this no name over here, calling Ohtani a bitch, it really just turned everything on its heel. And, all this stuff combined, and maybe that's the reason why. Maybe Walsh was, lit for his boy. Maybe he was like, you know what, I'm going to step up for Ohtani because Ohtani stepped up for us all year. But, Walsh, believe it or not, has been overlooked by many in baseball.
Especially East Coast media.
You know what? I hate the East Coast bias controversy or the East Coast bias, saying or whatever. It's just all the best players in baseball are on the West Coast now.
It seems
the East Coast is for a bunch. Yeah, exactly. I mean, we arguably have most of baseball's top 10 players.
They have a bunch of guys that strike out a lot, being Stanton and
Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge.
There you go. And I think on the East Coast, Acuna is probably the best hitter. But on the West Coast, like you said, you got Betts, you got Trout, you got Ohtani, you got Tatis. That's just to name a few.
Manny Machado,
yeah. So you got a ton of good hitters. Now you add Walsh to that. And I brought it up in another show where they were talking about the Angels playing the Yankees, and they were like, yeah, there's some guy Walsh he's pushing for the All-Star. And it's like, some guy? Really? So you don't know your homework on a guy who's hitting better than most of your guys on the Yankees? So, that's what they do, dude. They don't focus on the West Coast because and there's that excuse of, we go to sleep, early, your games are on when we're asleep. It's like, no, you guys stay up late for your team too. There's this thing called the internet, and if you really did your homework, you can always catch up on highlights and see who's doing what. And then Walsh's name would be showing up left and right, and you'd be like, oh, that's Walsh. Oh, okay, yeah, he looks pretty good. Because you're obviously staying up to see Tatis. You know who Tatis is. You should know who Walsh is.
You know who Trout is. You know who Ohtani is.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people play fantasy nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
You just out of curiosity, let me go on my league real quick and see how owned Jared Walsh is. I had Jared Walsh on my fantasy team, and I didn't originally draft him because I didn't think he was going to end up being as good as he ended up being. Yeah. Jared Walsh is owned by 98.7% of leagues. So people know who Jared Walsh is. He has 213 fantasy points today in my league.
Wow, that's crazy.
So people should know who Jared Walsh is. That's a very recognizable number. I mean, if you're flirting with 213 points, you're flirting with 250 at this point.
Yep, exactly.
Because it's not unrealistic to think that he'll get about 15 more points with the next 3 games going into the All-Star break. So there you go. At that point, you are flirting with 250 before the All-Star break. That's crazy. Jared Walsh is very, very underappreciated in the game of baseball, as is a guy like David Fletcher. People know David Fletcher because he's kind of turned into a meme amongst baseball players or amongst baseball fans. Sorry. But yeah, Jared Walsh needs to get some recognition. And I mean, West Coast baseball in general, we're tired of the East Coast bias. Go get some Dunkin' with your car, with your schmap pack in your car.
And watch Ben Affleck movies because he always seems to have the setback of his movies in what do you call it, Boston anyway. You know, there's always some sort of heist in Boston, and I'm surprised he didn't have a "I love Boston" or a Red Sox bumper sticker on the Batmobile. You know, I mean, he always, always puts Boston in his stuff. We're gonna get to Fletcher in a second too, but I wanted to point that one more thing out about Walsh before I end on the game too.
Yeah.
You know, there's plenty of these guys that are power hitters, quote unquote, or faces of the game, and that can't play the field. You know, that either are DHs or their first baseman, and their average first baseman at that. You know, Tatis being one of these guys where dude highlight reel all the time. Yeah, Pujols is another guy. But Walsh, for being a pitcher again and not really having much experience at first base, learning on the fly, he's a hell of a first baseman. His stretches, the way he holds runners on, the way that he gets those ground balls, saving them from going down the line, he's made more plays, and I mean, he's saved more runs than anything. I think he's a very underrated first baseman. What are your thoughts?
I can definitely see an avenue where he wins a Gold Glove, or is at least a contention to win a Gold Glove over the next couple of years. I don't think he's going to do it this year because this is his first real full year.
Yeah.
But, to say he hasn't been impressive is a lie. So, assuming he rides it out with the Angels through, his contract renewals and arbitration, I could certainly see him getting a Gold Glove within the next, 5 years, I'll say. I'm taking the under for sure.
Okay, that sounds about right to me. A couple more things before we end on this series with Boston and give it our final takes and we move to Seattle. You basically today saw we've been able to get away with it at times, filling in guys in positions that they're not used to get through the games. But today, it nearly cost the Angels on 2 opportunities. Kudos for Myers as much as we rip him. He pitched out of a jam because that run was given up. I think it was also Heaney probably wouldn't have gave up another run earlier in the game had Gosselin fielded the ball right. I mean, he got turned around all over the place, misplayed a fly ball that should have been caught at the track. Same thing happened with Renifo late in the 8th inning. That happens when you have 2 either utility guys or infielders playing the outfield. That just shows you the importance of having a guy like Taylor Ward or ready or being able to play, or a guy like Justin Upton, Dexter Fowler, guys that should be in the outfield but aren't because of injuries. If this were to continue and Upton's out longer or something like that, and I know we're focusing on pitching, but would you be inclined to go out to get another outfielder just to help them?
Yeah. I'm certainly not opposed to getting a stopgap outfielder. Honestly, if I would have known that the Upton injury was going to take this long, I would have recommended it's not even the Upton injury. It's like all the other injuries that have happened to the outfield. Mm-hmm. I would have recommended going out there and just getting a stopgap guy. We're talking a guy like a Cameron Maybin. Maybe not a guy who's going to blow you away and is going to, all of a sudden you're in contention because of him. But, you could have gone an Eric Young Jr.-esque type of guy. Some guy like that who's going to give you competitive at-bats, who's going to give you good defense, who's going to give you speed, and is just going to play smart defense. That's all we need. Literally, as long as I can get a guy who plays smart defense, we're good. Go out there and trade for a Billy Hamilton. He's not going to cost you anything. You need this insurance. You've learned that depth is crucial. And the fact that the Angels have even been this competitive with the depth they've had is crazy. I remember when in a past life, when you were on another show that we don't talk about anymore because they provide bad content. Ooh, throwing shade.
Shots fired.
Yeah. Gratata. Anyway. So, yeah, when you were on another show, you had mentioned in the past that God, I lost my train of thought.
Oh, mention about players on the team or whatever, the importance of depth. Maybe is that
yes. Thank you. That was embarrassing. I've never just lost my train of thought like that. But I had mentioned that this was the most depth we've seen on this, on this Angels squad in a long time, because we were throwing shade at the fact that the Angels had no depth. But on the other hand, this is the most depth that we've seen. At that point, I think the month of April had just closed and we were relatively healthy.
Yes.
So, we had, the guys in the minors. So we still had Renifo down in the minors. We still had Taylor Ward down in the minors. Tamora was asking, when are we going to bring up Taylor Ward? It's just a distant memory at this point.
It is.
And now we're at the point where we're bringing up guys who have never played the outfield. Rennie Infield never played the outfield.
Mm-hmm.
Wong barely had any outfield experience. I think he'd only played like 2 games or something in the outfield or 2 innings. It wasn't much either way. You know, we're pulling up these guys and we're like, all right, you're in. And we've gotten lucky up to this point. It really hasn't cost us too many games. A couple of runs, sure, but like you said, Myers actually did a good job of pitching. I don't even want to say himself out of a jam because it wasn't his fault, actually.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely correct. And they have gotten away with it. Like they brought up Mayfield. He's another infielder. I forget the guy. What was his name? He played with St. Louis. He was in with Shebner or whatever, because I think they released him again.
Scott Schebler?
Yeah, it was Scott Schebler, and I forget the guy they picked up before. He played, they wound up DFAing him too. So those were 2 outfielders that had no options. So when you had to send them down, they were pretty much released, and it was their choice to come back. I don't know if Schebler is going to come back this time. He came back the last time. But my point being is, yeah, you're skinny as hell. I mean, if there's a little minor trades for the deadline just to get some depth for the AAA ball club and for the ball club in general, I think it would be for an outfielder utility type dude that can play, that we can trust to come in there as a defensive replacement. Because right now, if you say, oh, hey, we're going to bring a guy in for a defensive replacement, you're like, why? Because that's not really upgrading the position. So as I finish up on that, the Angels held on to win 5-4, and Iglesias blows through the 9th. Another important thing that was taken care of, and another thing I want to talk about, is David Fletcher. And you brought him up. A lot of fans are saying he's Eckstein 2.0. He didn't start the year. You know, we were kind of dumbfounded the way he started the season. You know, he was batting so low, swinging at everything, not being patient. He still hasn't gotten his walk groove in, but what he's doing is he's providing pressure, swinging a lot or staying in counts, making him full counts a lot. He's getting hits, and he's getting on for a guy named Ohtani, who is either driving him in or moving first to third. And that's what we've been trying to say all year is like, dude, just get someone on in front of these guys. And it was such a struggle until Upton grabbed the reins before he got hurt. But thoughts on Fletcher, what to you has changed for him to be batting 220 at one point or lower to now 2 or 3 points away from 300?
You know, what I like about David Fletcher is that David Fletcher is always unapologetically David Fletcher.
Okay.
You know, he doesn't seem to change his game a lot.
Okay.
And sometimes in baseball, that's the most important thing. You have to be willing to stay true to your game and not try to change who you are as a hitter and as a player. And David Fletcher has always been really good about only being David Fletcher. He doesn't try to do too much with the ball. He makes contact and he lets the ball do the work. He, you know, those pitches where you're like, yeah, there's no way. He finds a way to poke it through the gap. He finds the hole. You know, he runs out balls. You know, if the ball's hit to the shortstop, the guy's going to run his ass off to try to get a first base and beat it out. You know, David Fletcher is a gamer. Baseball doesn't have a lot of gamers anymore. That breed of player is dead. So to see David Fletcher continuing to be David Fletcher, it's exactly what we need, and it's a breath of fresh air. Because, you know, those are the kind of guys who are going to make the difference come October. And I can tell you what, you know, I understand how good Mike Trout is. I understand how good Shohei Ohtani is. But if we're trying to lead, let's just say we're down by 2 runs and we're trying to start off an inning, I want David Fletcher to lead off our inning every single time over Trout and over Ohtani. I would rather have Ohtani and Trout to clean up the bases if a guy like Fletcher's on. But to lead off, I always want a guy like David Fletcher. And you know what? If we're in a situation where it's the bottom of the 9th, 2 outs, we're down by a run, we got bases loaded, you know, and David Fletcher's up, I'm not worried. David Fletcher's going to get that hit. David Fletcher is going to find a way to at least have a productive at-bat.
Yeah, you're welcoming that. That's for sure. He's played so good in the last few games. I just don't know what to say. Like he's putting the ball where it's not, and it's refreshing to see. I think the other guys build off of it, and it's something that, you know, the more and more pressure that we're seeing from on the base pads, the better. It's just going to make everything much more smoother, and this team's going to score a lot more runs. So kudos to Fletcher. So final thoughts on that series with the Mariners, if you got them. Or not Mariners, I'm sorry.
Red Sox.
Yeah, there you go.
The Sox. I don't think I have too many closing thoughts. I think we've covered a lot of it. The Angels are playing some good ball right now. Now, with that being said, you always ask me questions, but I have a question for you.
Let's hear it.
So where we are right now, the Angels are what, 2 games over 500?
Yeah, they're 44 and 42.
Okay. So how and why are the Angels competitive here and now? Given everything that's happened this year, as we sit tonight recording this episode for tomorrow, which is going to be an off day, our last off day before the All-Star break, why and how are the Angels still in a situation where playoffs aren't out of the question? Given the injuries.
I think there's 2 reasons. I think certain guys are just starting to finally hit their groove in the lineup, but it has to really do with the bullpen not living up to its name. They've not gotten into those buttercup situations to where I was playing them 2 times a week at least. That buttercup song post game.
You started having to find different incarnations of the song.
Yeah, I was doing rap versions, country versions. There was a metal version. It was getting frustrating, and they really haven't buttercupped it up. Or if they have, the team has responded and scored some runs to tie it up and make it a game, or get the comeback. So I guess my answer would be just, I think more than anything, the pitching has settled down on both the bullpen and the starting rotation. The starters are giving you longer innings. I obviously, in game 1, that wasn't the case, but that kind of start that Suarez had was happening consistently. Whereas now maybe you're getting 3 to 4 games out of the week where you're getting, guys going 5, 6. And that's a huge relief to a bullpen that is stretched really thin and not built to pitch multiple innings or pitch the bulk of the game. And I think when that happens and you have guys on the mound, it settles down the hitters to where, okay, we can have an off inning, but then the next inning, let's rev it up and let's put some pressure. Let's score some runs. And I think that has really helped the Angels here in this little stretch, because obviously if things were continuing the way they were doing in early June, this team would nowhere be close to the wild card.
Yeah. Now, I agree with everything you said. But personally, I think one of the biggest things and one of the biggest differences between now and, before this team went on their run, I mean, what was it, May, where they were just doing horribly?
Yeah, May and early June was terrible.
Yeah, I think the biggest reason the Angels are doing so well right now as a cohesive unit is because everyone is showing up to the ballpark right now excited to show up to the ballpark. As cliche as that sounds, there's a big difference between a team who wants to be there and a team that has to be there because they're just there to collect the paycheck. This team isn't like the Padres. They don't have the gold chains and they're not flashy, bling, bling handshakes. But you know what? You can tell that this team is having fun. You can tell that there is a fight at the bat rack because they want to go up there. You can tell that every at bat they're going up there to have a good at bat. That doesn't mean swinging for, to hit it over the rock fountains.
Yeah.
That means going up there to have a good at bat. That means David Fletcher going up there to extend that hit streak because he knows that he's got 2 or 3 guys behind him who are just salivating at the opportunity to hit a home run, hit a gapper, drive in some runs. That's what Fletcher said today after the postgame when Trent interviewed him. He said that he knows that he's got guys behind him who can drive him in. It's guys knowing their roles on the team. It's Taylor Ward knowing, you know what, man? I was drafted in 2015. I'm never going to be a star, but I'll tell you what I am going to be. I'm going to be the best damn bench guy that I can be. It's guys like Jose Rojas. He's telling himself, I'm going to step up for this team because I belong here in the show. It's guys like Ohtani saying, I'm the best damn player in the world. I'm the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. It's guys like that knowing what their role is and understanding what their role is. Because when you got a team of 26 guys who understand what their role is, this baseball is a beautiful thing. Absolutely. Any team sport.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. I mean, and good thoughts on that because a guy like Fletcher, who I think was a godsend, them putting him at 9, because I think that made him appreciate, if he was overlooking the fact that he was just guaranteed leadoff guy, that, hey, nothing's guaranteed. And even though you got a contract, you're batting 9th. and he's turned it around. It seems like since his demotion and the subsequent injury to Upton, he's like, okay, I'm not screwing this up, and he's doing what you said. And he's playing great, and it's lighting a fire through the rest of the lineup, and the rest of the lineup's looking good. And I'm still waiting to see, and you've said it too, when Trout comes back, Rendon comes back, Upton comes back, and these guys can actually stay healthy and start doing some damage. I mean, look at the back end of this lineup is already doing damage. With the guys you named, Iglesias is hitting a lot better. Ward is getting on base and looking a lot better. Not his outfield stuff, but his hitting's better. You got Stassi who's hitting better. I mean, and Lagares is starting to get going. I mean, those guys are only going to see better pitches because people are going to be scared of the lineup flipping over again. So,
absolutely.
So I think that's why we're really excited right now. And, we hope that this trend can continue. I mean, obviously things can change. We've seen it. But that's why the Seattle series is so freaking key right now. It's such
if we can win 2 out of 3, then honestly, I don't think we're going to have the All-Star break hangover that we normally have. And here's why. Mm-hmm. Normally, you just got one guy, and it's Mike Trout going up there, and he does a thing, and everyone's like, oh, cool. But this year, you're going to have a guy that people are going to like identify with. The players are going to be like, you know what, Shohei Ohtani, that's our guy. Jared Walsh, that's our guy.
Yep.
Not to say that Mike Trout isn't their guy, but now they have 2 new guys who are exciting because they've never been All-Stars before. I'm sure at this point Mike Trout kind of takes it for granted. Not to the point where he's a jerk about it, but to the point where we take it for granted. We know Mike Trout's going to be an All-Star every year. He didn't even play this year, really, and he's an all-star.
Yeah.
So, I think the players are going to be able to identify with the fact that, you know what, we're excited for these guys. We're going to ride the coattails of these guys. And when they come back on that Friday, they're going to hit the ground running, and it's going to be right back to it. And, dare I say that hopefully this is like 2014 and 2002. Right when July started, the team got hot. July started, our team's hot. If we can keep it going to the end of July, all of a sudden in August, September, we're playing competitive baseball. And as long as you're doing that, you have a chance of getting in the dance. And once you get in the dance, who knows what can happen. This is baseball.
I agree, bro. Good points. Because again, I mean, this is starting to mirror that season a little bit. People are starting to say that. And you remember that season too, Oakland was running away with it, and it was never about the division that year. It was about, hey, let's make it to the postseason. And you're absolutely correct. So let's dive into the Seattle series, because one thing that's weird about this scheduling, not only some of the other games that were early on the season, and by the way, a stat was brought up in today's game before I get into the Mariners thing. Out of the 5 teams with the toughest schedule, because the Angels had the toughest first half schedule, one of 5 teams that have the toughest schedules in the first half of the season in Major League Baseball. The Angels are the only team over 500. The other 4 are under 500. So that should tell you something, even with all the crap that they've gone through. But
for those of you guys who heard our Rocks in the Outfield interview, there was one thing that they said, and I forgot who it was, who said that the Angels are basically playing playoff games already because of the teams they're facing.
Yes.
And like you said, the schedule has been very, very hard up to this point. We don't really catch any breaks. Sure, you get like a 3-game series versus the Orioles, but then you got to face the Red Sox.
Yeah.
And then before the Orioles, you had the Giants, right?
Yeah, you had the Giants. You've already played them in 2 series. I could just think of the Diamondbacks, Royals, and the Orioles so far, and maybe that you could lump the Tigers in there. But other than that, you've played a pretty damn tough schedule this entire time. And this what's weird here is the Mariners aren't the pushover. I was wrong so far. I thought they would have been faded already. I think
everybody did.
Yeah, I thought next year would be the year that the Mariners kind of push and do this. So with them being so young, it's weird at the end of the first half of the season, we're finishing out with 3 games versus Seattle on the road, and then we immediately start the second half with 3 games with Seattle, but at home. Usually they switch up teams. You don't play the same team back to back. But we're playing the Mariners for the next 6 games, and guess what? The Mariners are right in front of us and also in the hunt for the wild card. So these 2 series are pretty damn big. And the first one gets underway. I think this guy is probably the perfect guy to go to try to get that first W for the Angels, and that's Alex Cobb. He'll be 6-3 with a 4.6 ERA, 4.60 ERA versus Marco Gonzalez, 1-5 with a 5.82 ERA. Thoughts on that opening game on Friday?
Alex Cobb looked pretty decent in his last start. And the one thing I do like about Alex Cobb is he's another one of those guys who isn't going to be a complete pushover. He's going to make you earn it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's at least always going to go out there with the edge, thinking that he's the best pitcher on the hill that day. A lot of people compare him to Jared Weaver simply because of his mentality, maybe not because of his skill set, but he's always going to go up there and he's not going to be a pushover. So hopefully Alex Cobb, he knows what's at stake right now. He knows that these games matter because of the fact that we're 5 to 6 games out of the wild card.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how we look at that point after, the our off day, some teams are going to play. So we'll see where we are. But, we'll be about 5 or 6 games out of the wild card. So, these guys know these games are important.
Oh, yeah. And this is a huge game because you want to set the tone early in this series, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Seattle is a place where you wish you had what's his name? You wish you had Trout, because Trout seems to love it up there in Seattle. I think he's hit the most home runs up there in Safeco or whatever they call it, T-Mobile or whatever.
T-Mobile Park, yeah.
There you go. And then game 2 is a big one too. That's a 7:00 start. It's Patrick Sandoval, who again had an up and down start, but still got pitched decent enough to win, but did not get the W in his last start versus Flexen, who got annihilated the other night by the Yankees. So we'll see Flexen and Sandoval in that game. I've seen a little bit of Flexen. He did pitch good against us one time this year, got a victory. I think Sandoval rocks him in this game. What are your thoughts on that?
I absolutely agree. I as of right now, I can't see Patrick Sandoval throwing a bad game.
Yeah.
The guy's just been on absolute fire all year. So I would predict he's going to give us about 6 or 7 innings. He's going to go all in because, it's the All-Star break. So, maybe Joe Maddon's going to give some of these guys a longer leash if he sees fit. But, I can see a situation where if he gives up less than 3 runs, he gives us about 7.
It's funny you brought that up, too, because I was making that a bullet point. Have you noticed lately that he's let guys go where he was pulling them earlier in the year at like 80, 85? A guy like Heaney pitched 106 pitches today. I think Sandoval had over 100. Ohtani was closing in on 100. He's starting to let these guys pitch a little deeper. And I think that's a good thing because I think that's in a way you're trusting your starters. You know what I mean? You're giving them that opportunity to get that W or to get another strikeout or to wiggle out of a tough jam. So I think that's all good. You know what I mean? Like, I think it hurts the team morale-wise early in the season. But I think right now, I think that's a good thing. Your thoughts on that?
Maybe it's because he knows that we've sold like a double-digit amount of blow pen shirts. He's like, whoa, these are actually selling? Well, maybe the bullpen really is bad.
Dude,
maybe that's what happened.
If he's that in tune, I'm like, damn, that guy knows everything. If he's
shirt.
What's that?
Yo, Joe, if you want to, I said I'll buy him a blow pen shirt. Yo, Joe, let us know. Sneak into the DMs. Let us know. If you want a blow pen shirt, I'll keep it hush hush.
And you know what? Maybe we'll change the status of the, we will just put a don't be a blow pen or don't be a buttercup. Maybe he'll wear it that way.
There you go. There you go. He's done a lot better. Sometimes you got to trust your brain more than you got to trust the analytics. The one thing with baseball is analytics are great, but they should never be the end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
Use it as a tool, but sometimes, man, if your gut's telling you, I should really let him go one more inning, or I should let him go one more batter, let him go one more batter. Sometimes I'd rather have my hot hand give up that run, run or home run, because at least at the current moment, that's my hot hand.
Yeah, you
got to play it.
You went down with your hottest, or your biggest,
your best option at that point.
Exactly. I don't know why I couldn't say it.
No, you're good. It's late.
It is. July 11th, though, is the finale of the first half of the season. It's a 1:00 start, getaway day. It's actually Suarez versus to be announced. So Mariners don't have a pitcher at this point. How big of a start is this for Suarez? I know, you can't blame him too much for that game in Boston. We know what he has, and you brought that up earlier. Getting a road victory here, how big would that be to close out the year with Suarez?
It's going to be huge. It's going to be huge. And you know what? The more and more I think about it, if I feel a lot more confident about Suarez that particular game than I do about Alex Cobb tomorrow. I think we're gonna win 2 out of 3.
Okay.
But and if I had to pick, if I if I was a betting man, I had to put money on it. I would put my money on Sandoval and Suarez
To get the dub.
winning the 2 games over Alex Cobb. But I'd like to be sitting here having a conversation on Monday or whenever we record next about us sweeping the series. But Suarez has to respond. I don't want to say he did bad the last game. That's what we both agreed on. It was an average start, but we don't need average.
Yeah.
We need Jose Suarez to be the Jose Suarez we've seen out of the bullpen. Because if not, I can't imagine getting much more than 2 or 3 more starts before they're like, you know what, we should probably put you back in the bullpen. We're paying a lot more for Bundy and or Jose Quintana anyway.
Yeah, because it takes a lot for a team, and I'm glad you brought that up, for a team to eat crow on themselves and say, okay, you know what, we did pay this guy a lot of money, but you can't deny the dude that's doing the job, and you got to go, like you said, with a hot hand, and they did. And again, it sort of backfired, but not too bad because, like you said, he didn't give up like 10 runs or nothing. He only gave up 3 before he exited. So we'll see what happens against Seattle. I am looking for bigger and better things in this series, and I could see a sweep, but 2 out of 3 seems very good for me. I'll take that as well.
I was going to say, are you predicting a sweep? But no, then you said 2 out of 3. So,
yeah,
2 out of 3 is your official.
Yeah, my official. I'm going 2 out of 3 with this one, but I could see a sweep. I really could. I do, and that's not disrespecting Seattle. I think Seattle has a good ball club. I think they're primed for a good future. But I just believe right now, if you had to poll me on it, I think the Angels really want this series more than the Mariners do.
I agree. The Angels just look hungry right now.
They do.
And I think the young guys right now are trying to prove that they could do it without guys like Trout, Upton, or Rendon.
Yeah, it's a feather in their cap, right? When they're out there with half their lineup supposedly of high-priced guys not getting it done. I mean, it makes these wins a lot more sweeter and a lot more enjoyable.
Yep.
So, we'll see where it goes. I think the second half, man, maybe we'll do a preview show of the second half, and we'll, in the next one, and we'll just, bite into what the what's going on, what could be the trends and whatnot, and the players to look out for, and we'll get in depth because you got some pretty good nuggets when it comes to stuff like that. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm in.
You got anything else left for the show for today?
Maybe we can talk about a couple of the exciting things we have coming up. I mean, there's a lot of shows where like, oh, tune in next week while we sit here and pick our asses and talk about boring shit. But, to say that we're out here making –
I'm sorry, I just had a cough. I had a cough.
Oh, it's the COVID.
Yeah, there you
go. We're out here actually making moves. We have some interviews coming up. I think by the time that this comes out, we would have already done our most recent interview.
Yes.
So look out for that.
You want to talk about the trade deadline show?
The trade deadline show. Chase and Andrew, I think that's also going to be released on their newest episode, which should be also on Thursday. So tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Or today. It'll be released on Thursday. So you guys are probably listening to this today. It'll come up soon. Andrew and Chase are going to come on. They're going to talk about what we're going to be doing for the 2 hour, at least that's what it's projected so far. It could be more. Extravaganza for the trade deadline. It'll be on the 31st. I believe it'll be from 11 PST to 1 p.m. PST, which is when the trade deadline is. Yep. Stay tuned for that. We have a couple of interviews that are projected to take place that week. We also have a a draft show coming up. That's kind of more of a treat. It'll just be a random episode we're throwing out there. A lot of guys have been asking Todd, or guys and gals have been asking Todd some draft questions, and that's not exactly Todd's expertise, and that's okay. So we're bringing Taylor Blake Ward in, who is the former host of Locked On Angels, whose expertise is the draft, to talk the 2021 draft, maybe give some insight on who he believes the Angels are going to draft. So make sure to stay tuned for that. A lot of exciting stuff on the horizon, trust me. And we have a former Angel who was on the most recent playoff team who is also expected to come on our show. All this stuff's supposed to be happening within the next month. So huge things on the horizon. I'm not just blowing smoke. great things. We're really excited about it. Trust me, everyone on the network is constantly pepping each other up about how excited we are for this stuff.
And what's funny is like usually things start out slow and you kind of work your way up before you start calling yourself a network, but we can't help but not do that. And yes, we haven't hit the numbers that would officiate a network label, but the fact is we are running a label. This is turning into a label quicker than we could shake a stick because we're doing things consistently. We're doing shows consistently, pre-games, post-games, the Around the League show. And there's another show that, we're trying to get going, me and Fernando, for Dugout Talk when he's ready. You're going to meet him. And we do our own show like twice a week and do other stuff during the week. So there's always content, whether it's on any of your podcast platforms or YouTube, or even on the page itself. If you want to check out Twitter, if you want to check out Facebook, if you want to check out the main page, which is Instagram. So there's always something going on. It is like a network. We've got highlights 24/7. We got like all, funny memes. We've got lineup things, breaking news. It's all things Angels baseball sprinkled in with a little bit of Major League Baseball. And it works out. So, I mean, if you're looking for a page, you're an Angel fan, why would you not be on Halos in the Infield? And why would you not be checking out these shows? It's, if I wasn't doing the show and I'm just looking for good content, I'd be here checking out this page. We've got giveaways. We've got all kinds of things. Fernando's pulling all these interviews. He's working hard behind the scenes, Redbubble and everything else like that. You've got Randy working on the designs. You've got Rally Chris promoting. So it's a team effort. And I can't tell you how much I love the fact that everyone's working together. No one's putting their name above anyone else's. This is all our page, and it's your page. It's your podcast. And we love the input. And I got to give a special shout out real quick, Fernando, to all our female listeners and all our female contributors, because they know their baseball and it is refreshing. So it's not one of these male chauvinist things where like, oh, you can't talk about that. What do you know about baseball? No, a lot of these women have either played baseball, know baseball, grew up around baseball, played softball, and their opinions are just as valuable as ours. We love them, and we love them to continue to keep putting into the show, because their content is just as valuable as all of ours.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a special place in baseball for women. We're in a different era, and it's time for people to start to get rid of these barbaric ideas that baseball is a man's sport. It's always been a man's sport. It's a gentleman's game. We're transitioning. I mean, the Marlins have a female general manager. There's plenty of female coaches. So I completely agree with you. Women have the right to have the right and are just as knowledgeable as men, if not more knowledgeable than men. And it's time to normalize that. So, yeah, I know you have a lot of females who comment on our shows actually, I was pretty disappointed when I went on our YouTube numbers to see that our female numbers were so low. We try to make a very fair show for both genders, or, for any gender that somebody identifies at. That's not, we don't try to be partial to men, female, or whomever else.
Yeah,
so
just go to an Angel game and check out the demographics. There's a hell of a lot of female fans there, and they're not just there to be on selfies like back in the day, or just there to be there with their boyfriends or whatever. It was a status quo type thing. These women know their baseball, and like I said before, it is refreshing to hear them say, before I could even yell and be like, "Oh, come on, Cishek," they're behind me saying, "Come on, Cishek, get him out of the game." That's Absolutely. Awesome. That is freaking awesome.
Yeah, I'll say it. I'm sure Todd will agree with me immediately after I say it. If you're a woman and you feel like you're underrepresented and you ever want to come on the show and talk baseball with us, send us a direct message, and we'd love to be able to have a lot more women come on once in a while and just talk with us. Man, woman doesn't matter. If you know baseball, Todd and I would love to talk to you.
And that's how I really got to meet Fernando, which was a godsend. We did that freaking we were talking a little bit before, but then we did the around the roundtable show, and that was with a female fan too, Tabora, and it worked out. We got to know two good people that know sports, and then Fernando was just like, he clicked right away. So this is how it happens here. You can get on here and this is your platform too. That's the beauty of it. So that's all I got.
Absolutely. No, no, yeah, no, I agree. So, literally, what we're doing right now is absolutely nothing without you guys, and we're gonna keep on saying it. You guys are gonna get annoyed. You guys are rolling your eyes like, "Oh, here we go again."
But it's
But
true.
no, truly, thank you guys so much for everything you guys have done. We're about to hit 1,000 followers on Instagram. We're steadily growing on Twitter. You name it. YouTube, we have several videos over 1,000 views. So keep it up, guys. This is truly for you guys. If you guys ever want to see any content, reach out. We're always willing to change our content, adapt our content, or create new content in favor of what you guys want to see. Nobody here is closed-minded, so everything's always on the table.
Absolutely. It's a team game, and it always has been over here. And it's weird, but it says, in the logo, established 2021. It feels like we've been around a while, but it's just the fact that we're able to work so good together. The chemistry is good behind the scenes, and the fact that also, we barely built this thing 6 weeks ago or less. And like he said, those numbers that he's pulling up, it usually takes a lot longer to get to those. And I think that's only for the fact that everyone's working together and has the same goals. And like you said, there's nothing, no one's getting their ideas crapped on, because we're not just throwing stuff up against the wall to see if it sticks. It's really good ideas. And then also people will feed off of it. So if Chase comes up with something, I'm like, oh, that's right, we should do this, and then add this. And then it just comes together. So, and Fernando's done that several times. So we're in a good spot.
What do I always say, Todd? What do I always say? I don't know if you remember, but what's the quote I always say?
I think it's, why can't it be us? Or why can't?
Yeah. I always say someone's got to be the best. Why not us? And I don't mean us as in you and I and the rest of the team. I mean all of us, the listeners and everybody.
Yep.
So, yeah, just keep on tuning in. We'll keep on providing the content. I'm telling you guys, we have so many interviews on the horizon. Todd joked one time off air that we're going to start having an interview of the month with somebody famous in Angels baseball or an old MLB player. And we were laughing about this 2 weeks ago, but we have so many interviews lined up that I don't even know if we can, we might be stockpiled for a couple months. That's not even a joke. That's not even me trying to overhype it. We're going to be pretty good for a little while. So I promise you guys, look out, share it, because we got some cool stuff.
It might be 2 times a month. Forget the one time.
Yeah, we still might be overflowing a little bit. But, yeah, that's going to do it out of me.
All right. Well, then for Todd Fox and my guest host, which used to be a guest host, who is now the permanent host.
Fernando, thank you guys. You guys have a great night, and we'll talk soon.
Exactly. You got it.